Welcome to Framer Dive. In this video, I'm gonna take you through on how to create this amazing page or this amazing website without writing any single line of code. As you can see, it has very nice hover interactions, as you can see. And so when I click here, we have this amazing display. And also when I click this blue one, I have this nice interactivity. As you can see, I can insert any kind of links inside here, and also I can also click it and go back home. So I'm gonna show you how to design this in Framer, and let's get this started. My name is Joe and this is Framer Dive. Let's get started. So this is my Framer workspace. So this is where we're gonna design it from step by step. If you want to follow along, you can find the remix file in the description. So let's get this started. So this is my desktop breakpoint, as you can see, and the height is set to 1200 pixels, and then it's just blank. So I'm gonna start from scratch, but I won't really take you through every single thing because I'm just gonna take you through the most important bits. So with me here, I have a couple of assets that are gonna aid me to just show you through or guide you through on how to create what you've seen. So I have three kind of buttons or three kind of stacks. So this is the first one, second one, third one, and then inside we have a couple of buttons, and these are just the properties or some guidelines. So in simple terms, you can see this red one has three variants. It's in different line states. So these lines, as you can see along the variants, it has different line states, and then it has the nice transition, which is easy in transition. Same case with this one and this one. So let's just go straight into the video. And so I'm gonna come here to my desktop, and I'm gonna hold F on my keyboard. I'm gonna create a stack, and then I'm gonna set this to fill, and as you can see, this is a frame. I'm gonna call it my hero section. So this is the first part a user will see when they view my website, and then I'm gonna set the height to 100 VH, and then notice that it responds to the height of the desktop, responds to the height of my hero section, because the desktop is set to fit the content. So then I'm gonna come here to hero section, and I'm gonna add a layout. So basically a layout, we just created some structure to the contents that I'm gonna place inside here. As you can see, there are going to be a structure to them, as you can see, but basically that's what we want. So then I'm just gonna come and grab my assets here. I'm gonna start with this one. So I'm gonna hold Ctrl C on my keyboard, and I'm gonna drag it inside here into this hero section. I'm gonna hold Ctrl V, and I've just pasted this inside. So just a quick run through on what we have here. We just have a stack, and inside this stack we have an image, which is a circle, and then we also have another one, which is a cross, and inside this cross we have another cross. Let me call this the cross button, so this will be more clear to you. So this is a cross button, this green one. Inside it we have a cross container, and the container contains the two lines. So we have this line 1 and line 2. Let me call this line 1, and this is line 2. So if you want to build this from start, just hold F on your keyboard and just recreate this. It's very simple. Also make sure that the stack has a layout and the direction is from left to right. So now when we view the website, as you can see, we have a button. Nothing happens when you click. This is just super plain. There's no effect on hover. So now let's go back and see what we can do to make this thing spin around when you hover. So to do that, I'm just gonna click this cross button, and I'm gonna turn it into a component. So I'm gonna right click on my mouse and click create component, and I'll say a cross button. So this is my component, and so we're gonna turn this into another variant. So click this plus icon. So now as you can see, we have variant 2 and we have variant 1. So basically what happens here is that we need to have two different states for these two variants. And so the first one, because we are spinning, or rather this arrow is rotating, I'm gonna come to variant 2 and I'm gonna just hold my mouse and I'm gonna rotate it this side. So I'm gonna rotate it this anti-clockwise, and because I wanted to rotate it, I wanted to have a rotation for a while, I'm gonna rotate it all the way to minus 720. So why 720 is because 720 is kind of similar to our first state. So I'm just gonna come here and put minus 720. Okay, so as you can see, you cannot see any difference here, but there is actually a difference, because what happens is when we change from this state to this other state, you're gonna see the rotation happening. So I'm gonna click the first variant and I'm gonna add an interaction. So go to your top right corner and click this plus icon and click new transition, and you wanna set the variant set on mouse enter. So when mouse enters this variant, I want it to go to variant 2. Okay, so now when we view our interaction, as you can see, we have this effect. Okay, as you can see, when my mouse enters this, there's this interaction, but this is just the first step. So the second step is we want to work on the what we call now the what happens. So notice when we hover here, and then we cannot hover any much longer. So we hover once and then we can't hover again. So we want to activate this idea when we're in variant 2 now. How can we still see it going back to variant 1? So we need to find a way to go back to variant 1, and it needs to be very subtle, even something that you can't even notice. So I'm gonna go to variant 2 and I'm gonna add an interaction to variant 2, and I'm gonna set it to on appear, and I'm gonna set it to variant 1. So I want when this variant 2 appears, which is this, when it appears, I want it to go to variant 2. I want it to go back to its original state, and I want this to delay for like 0.5 seconds. So there's gonna be a 0.5 second delay before we go back to our initial state. And then another very critical part here is I want you to go to your transition, and I want you to put it to instant. So because we don't want to see the kind of we don't want to see the transition, we don't want to see this thing moving back. We just want to see this going like spinning, but when it comes to its original state, we don't want to see it, we want this to be instant. So I want it to instantly go to variant 1. So then I go back to variant 1, and now if we view what we have, as you can see, we have this interaction. As you can see, it's actually working, but it's very fast. So we need to make sure again we work on the transition. So here is a very good exercise of understanding transitions and how they work. And I have 3 options here. I can use spring, ease, and instant, but here I'm gonna use the ease transition, because remember, ease is like the way a car starts. For example, it goes from 0 to 1 very slowly, and then from 1 to like 5 it goes very fast. And that's how basically a wheel or a turbine spins. So I'm gonna want it to ease in, so go very slowly when you come in and then spin in. So then I'm gonna give this around 0.8 0.7 time for it to the transition to occur. So now when I come in view, as you can see, when I hover here, we have this nice interaction. Again, you can see we have this, although it's quite still fast. So I'm gonna come to my ease in transition, and I'm gonna add another like a second, or let me just use 0.8. Yeah, Yeah, so now when we view our interaction, when I hover inside here, as you can see, we have this nice spin to it. And then when I go back again, I have this nice spin to it. So those are the critical steps. Again, remember variant 2 has 2 interactions, which is on a pair. Go back to variant 1, and I want it to go as soon as possible. And then, and then that's why we've used an instant transition here. And then this one, of course, we want it to, go back to, go to variant 2. So we have this idea when we are in variant 1 and we hover, we go to variant 2. But now when we go to variant 2, immediately after some seconds, we go back to variant 1. So now when we go to our home page and I hover here, as you can see, we have this nice transition. Okay, so I'm just going to go back now and now create the second part. So now we're going to look on how we can design again this other section here. When I click that, when I click this green button, we have this nice state. And also remember to set this cursor to web cursor so that it's easy on hover, so someone can literally see that this is a hover or button to click. So I'm gonna go to the stack, which is this main stack of mine, and I'm gonna hold Ctrl Alt K, or you can right click and create a component, and I'm gonna call this button 1. And then so this is now, I've created another component. So notice this is now my second component of the day. So what I want here is when I click this button, we have some transition. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go back to my home page. You remember the assets that I had, which are these assets. So the asset that we want to see appear is this one, which is this stack. So I'm gonna hold Ctrl C and I'm gonna copy all of this stack. I'm gonna go back to my component that I've just created, and I'm gonna paste it inside this variant. So I'm gonna hold Ctrl V. As you can see, what happens is we have this stack inside this initial stack. But remember, we don't want to see it first. We want to return it to its original state. So nothing, it's like we have not done anything. But now here's a trick. So we need to create another variant here. So I'm gonna create another variant, which is variant 2, as you can see. And then in this variant, this is where we want to show this other one that we've just added, which is this one. Okay, and then we want to hide this other one. So I'm just gonna click Control Shift and then right click. I'm gonna hide the two. Okay, I'm just gonna come here to variant 2, and I'm gonna hold this small, you can see this small round thing, and I'm just gonna drag it inside that we have this nice, nice edge to it. So now, as you can see, we have variant 1 and variant 2. So what we need to do is just right click or click this green and this zap icon here, and you want to drag it inside to variant 2. So we want it on click. So when we click it, which is okay, we want it to go to variant 2. So, and then we're gonna come again, do the same thing, and we're gonna pick up this other one, which is this one. So I'm gonna Control C, and I'm gonna paste it inside my component, which is this one. So I'm gonna come again, and I'm gonna add, come and add variant 3. I'm gonna paste it inside variant 3. Now, as you can see, we have this, and then we just need to get rid of this because we don't want to see this. So I'm gonna right click, hide it, and then now, as you can see, we have we have something to work with. So we have now 3 components. As you can see, we have this variant 1, variant 2, and variant 3. So we want, when we come to our variant 2, remember this blue one is the one that is gonna transfer us to here. I'm gonna right click or click this up icon, and I'm just gonna drag it inside here on click, and that's okay. So now, as you can see, when I view this interactivity, when I come here and I hover, this nice spin, and I can click it, I can go, now this is variant 2. Then when I hover and click this one, we go to variant 3. So that's pretty what we've done here. So what is remaining is we want, when we actually enter here, we can see when we hover here, we want to see this nice interactivity on the red and the blue button. Okay, so again, we're gonna create a component. You see, just like the way we created a component for this green one, we're gonna create a component for this red and blue one. So I'm gonna hold Control Alt K on my keyboard, and I'm gonna create it. I'm gonna call it. So now we have created this component, and as you can see, it has one variant. So what we wanna do is we wanna add another variant here and create two states, which is this one and this one. So what we want, remember, in our design, we have this idea or effect. When we hover here, we have this like wave-like effect. So I'm gonna come to my variant 2, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try and increase the height of this to around 14. I'm gonna give it like 14, and then this one I'm gonna leave it at 10, and then this one I'm gonna take it to 6, around 6. So actually I'm gonna give it 4. So notice what we've done here. We have just like changed the state or the height of the lines, so that this variant and this variant have different states or different feel to the lines. So then I'm gonna click the variant 1, and I'm gonna hold L on my keyboard, and I'm gonna drag it here, and then I'm gonna add the interaction when the mouse enter. We're gonna go to variant 2, that's okay. And then now when we are in variant 2, I'm gonna drag it back to variant 1, but now this one will happen when it appears. So basically when it appears, and then we want to have a delay of 0.5 seconds. So we're gonna move from here to here, and when we move from variant 2 to variant 1, we're gonna have a slight delay of 0.5 seconds, and then we're just gonna go back to the initial state. So now if I view it, as you can see, we have this nice effect. As you can see, it happens well. So perhaps we need now to change the transition. Make sure the transition is set to ease in. As you can see, this is okay. Yeah, so we need to make sure the transition is set to ease in, so we can have that nice smooth effect. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna do the same for this blue one. So I'm just gonna hold Control Alt K and create a variant, a component, sorry. So let me just get rid of this. So now, as you can see, we have our primary variant here. So what we want to do is we also want to create different states that we're gonna see it animating from top to bottom. So I'm gonna create the first variant. I'm gonna make sure this first one is set to, basically, as you can see, it's pinned to top and left. So I want it to be pinned to the top only, and then I'm just gonna give it like a -8. So as you can see, we cannot see it, which is this one, is because the parent, which is this frame, is set to overflow hidden, as you can see. So we need to change it to visible so we can see it. So let's go back to it, and then we can actually give it -6, so that we don't want it to go so high. So this is the first state. So the first state is, as you can see, that this one will go up, which is gonna be reflected on variant 2. Then we are gonna click variant 2, and I'm gonna add another variant. So in this other variant, we are gonna have this one go and take up the same state, which is -6, just as this one. Now this one, you're gonna have this one coming down. So this one is going to come down back to its original position, and then we're gonna just do the same for this final dot. So I'm gonna click here, I'm gonna come here again, I'm gonna return this to its original state, to 0, and then this one I'm gonna again make sure you have detached the pins, and then I'm gonna give it -6. So now this one is the one which is rising up. So basically what we want to transition from this first state all the way to this state. So I'm just gonna come to the first one, and I'm gonna hold L on my keyboard, and I'm gonna now attach these interactions. So I'm gonna click. So So what happens when mouse enter? Remember, enter is something similar like hover. So when the mouse enter this section, we want to go to variant 1 immediately, and then again when this appears, we now want to start seeing changing. Again, hold L on your keyboard and now come to this one, and then now click appear, and then now this one we're gonna give it like 0.1 second, and then we're gonna go now to the third one. Again, click L and just drag it to there, and then make sure it's also appear. And now this one we're gonna give it 0.2 seconds, and then this one again we're gonna also make sure we drag it back to its original state, and then also on appear. But now this one you're gonna give it 0.3 seconds. Okay, so basically this is, remember, this is on mouse enter, this one is on mouse appear. We're gonna change to this one, and it's gonna have a delay of 0.1 second, and then immediately we're gonna switch to this one, which is gonna have a delay of 0.2 seconds when it goes to this one, and then finally we're gonna switch all the way back to this one. So now when we view, as you can see, we have this nice effect, as you can see, which is pretty good. Nice. So what is happening here is that it's not really clear because of the transition. So again, come to the transition part and change it from spring to ease in. So we want it to ease in, ease out, which I think is the best transition. So as you can see now, when we position it there, we have this nice but as you can see, that dot has a small problem. This is because we also need to we need to add another variant here. And why do we need to add another variant? Because remember, the first one we had only 4 variants ending here. So this thing was changing to variant 1 when this small dot was in the air. So we need to have a state where this small dot is actually not on air but at its original state. Okay, so kind of confusing, but I think you can see it what I mean. So let's go back to this one when I took it all the way to variant 1, and I'm just gonna change it, and I'm gonna just give it to the final variant. Okay, so technically when this one appears, it's gonna change all the way to this 5th variant. Okay, so because we want to see this coming down, that's why we've added variant 5. So, and then what do we want to see when variant 5 occurs? We want it to go all the way back to variant 1. As you can see, and just stick it all the way back to variant 1, and also when it appears again also when appear. But again, this is also another tricky part. Make sure this is set to transition to instant, because we don't want to see the transition from variant 5 to variant 1. We just want to see the transitions between these other ones. Okay, now when I view, as you can see, this is coming up well. As you can see, we have this nice, it's like a nice loading zone. So I think that's pretty good. So yeah, so as you can see now, when I view this card, we have this nice transition, and then this one we have this nice transition on mouse hover. So now we're gonna continue to the other part, which, as you can see in our initial design, we have this idea where when I click this red and I click it, we have this nice pop-up section. And what we have here, this is just an overlay that happens when I click, and then when I click outside, it disappears. So to create that, I'm gonna just come here to this voice button. So I'm gonna come here to voice, and I'm gonna come here to overlays. I'm gonna click here, and as you can see, what happens, we have this white thing that happens when we add an overlay. And as you can see now, our whole workspace has changed to kind of a purple color. This is just to tell us that we're in the overlay editing part. So remember, so what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna go back, and I'm gonna come to my assets again. I also have this card stack. I'm gonna hold Control C, and I'm just gonna go and paste it inside my overlay, which is this one that I've created. this white one. I'm gonna hold Control V and I'm gonna paste it there. So the overlay is not fitting, so this stack is not fitting inside this overlay, so I just need to adjust the overlay and set it to width to fit the content and also height to fit the content, and I'm gonna get rid of the fill of the overlay. Nice. So now what I'm gonna do, I just need to drag this overlay to somewhere like so. I'm just gonna make sure that the overlay is at the center of this variant. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna come here to overlay and I'm gonna come here to, I'm gonna offset it to the left a bit and I'm gonna offset it up like that, so that it kind of covers what is behind the button, or it just covers the button. Okay, now as you can see, what will happen, this is how our overlay will look like. So and then I can come back to the overlay and I want this overlay to show when I click. Remember, set it to click, and then we want to dismiss it also when we click anywhere outside. So now we can press exit, and now I'm gonna now view it. As you can see, the hover is still there, so when I click this, we have this nice overlay that just pops up. So now that we have an overlay, as you can see, so the final part is what we're gonna do is we're gonna design this section. When, as you can see, when I hover this place, this button, we have this nice transition in. Yeah, so this is what we want to build next. So this is the variant that we want to tweak and recreate that effect. As you can see, I have my icons here. I have this icon which is hero, called hero, and it is inside a stack called back, as you can see here. And then this stack is the main stack that is housing everything. So what I just want to do here, as you can see, this back stack has the hero and it has this text here, but we can't see it. So let's just go directly to creating a component again. So I'm gonna hold Control Alt K on my keyboard and I'm gonna create this back component. Again, as you can see, there's kind of a problem. I don't know why when I create a component it is suddenly creating 2 or 3, like variant 1 and 3. So I'm just gonna delete variant 3. So as you can see, what we have here is this variant, and notice that we have this back, but it's hidden. So when something is not visible or it's kind of grayed out, it means that it's back but it's hidden. I'm gonna just show it so you can see what I mean. So I have the back, so as you can see, even when I go back, you can see it's now back. Okay, but what we want to do is when we hover here, we want to change to, we want this to appear. So I'm just gonna come here to the variant and I'm gonna click this one, which is hover. So when I hover, I want it to change to this state. So of course I'm gonna hide the primary. I'm gonna hide it. Yeah, I'm gonna hide it. And then notice when we hide the primary, also the hover state also changes. So I'm gonna go to the hover state and I'm gonna show it. So here we have the back, here we don't have it. And then I'm just gonna fill it in. I'm gonna make sure that this hover state has a fill. So as you can see, it was kind of transparent, so I'm just gonna fill it in with the color. So now when we view it, as you can see, when I hover, we have this nice transition from from without text and without a background to with a background and with text. So that's pretty much how you do that part. And to recreate this, as you can see, now this is a component. We just need to change this home and social and YouTube into component, and that's what I'm gonna do right now quickly. Yeah, so now what we have now, we have 4 components here with just different states of hover state, one with a background and another one with text. So if I view my variant, as you can see, when I hover, we have this nice transition and this change from a non-hover state to a hover state, and that's pretty much it. It's very simple. So now when I come back to my homepage, and as you can see, this is our homepage desktop. So we can now view what we've created. So if I just click here, as you can see, we have this nice hover effect. Then this button pops up, and then as you can see, when I hover, we have this nice effects again. So on states on hover. So when I click this, we can see this. This is an overlay, and then when I also click this button, we have this other state, which also when I hover this, as you can see, we have this nice state. So again, when I go back, I can come back home. Yeah, so that's pretty much what we've done. So notice that I didn't show you how to add links to these ones, but you can just come here and make sure that it has an interaction. This one specifically, which is this zap icon. When you come here to click, when you click it, we'll go back to, you know, which is back, we go to variant 2, and then also when we click this one, we want to go all the way to variant 1, which is the home button or the home page. So that's pretty much it. That's how you create this amazing very simple interactive button, and you can use it to display your ideas, your CV, or things that you've done, just to create this element of a minimalistic website. And you can do this all in Framer. So if you like this video, just give it a thumbs up, and also I hope to see you in the next video.